Hey, it's Gary Kayye, and we're here in San Francisco at the Alamo E4 show, and I ran into Brawn. Alan, how are you?
I am just great. Gary, how you doing?
Good. Well, you and I have known each other for many years, and before we got on camera, we were just sort of remarking about how far the industry's come in a short period of time, you know, considering our industry's fairly young. Tell me, what if I had to get you to tell me one new technology in the last half a dozen years that has just blown you away, or one sort of technological change that has sort of shifted our entire industry, could you name one?
Oh, absolutely, and it's one that you're going to wholeheartedly agree with, and it all has to do with social media, has to do with the tablets, has to do with the touch-sensitive screens on things with iPhone, the Android phones, things of that nature. That has had all kinds of effects in terms of what we do and what you and I would consider traditional AV, with remote control, with bigger touch screens. That's been the big shock, is all the proliferation of small mobile devices, the social universe that you started yelling about before people, they thought you were crazy when you first started talking about this almost a decade ago. And so that's really what it is.
So the small LCD screens, OLED screens, is the biggest impact you think has been on our market?
Oh, absolutely. If we break it down into displays and we look at, you look at projectors, we have projectors that are brighter, we have projectors that have built-in blending engines and warping engines and interchangeable lenses and all of those things from an evolutionary point of view. Even if you look at flat panels, you see flat panels when, when you and I were first introduced to flat panels that were 5 inches thick, and now they're 1.5 inches thick. All of that is basically evolutionary in nature. But you want to talk about revolutionary, and if I'm only allowed one thing, it's going to be the fact that we've adopted into our lives a new method of communication. Whether you tweet or not, whether you're on Facebook or not, look at what you and I do on LinkedIn. Look at what we're doing right now. We're sitting here, we're being recorded on a camera the size of a cell phone. We have wireless audio. All of this is all kind of an outcropping of social media, the iPhone, the Android phone, all of these small portable devices, and it is truly bleeding over to what you and I are seeing in our everyday traditional AV lives.
Well, turning over to AV specifically, when do you think, or do you believe in this concept that flat panel displays will replace projectors?
The answer is a definite yes, maybe. In fact, I just wrote an article for one of the major manufacturers, projector manufacturers, who also is just getting into flat panel displays. I think there are specific areas where projectors are still going to be relevant. Obviously, you and I agree that it's going to be digital cinema where you have a 40-foot or an 80-foot screen. But frankly, anytime you have a great big screen in excess of 120-inch diagonal, obviously projectors are still going to be there. But for the mainstream, and you and I know what that is, the mainstream is 80, 90, now 100 inches, which is boardrooms, conference rooms, classrooms. Flat panels are certainly going to rule, but there will continue to be an interesting niche, and that niche is going to be more and more taken over with the new illumination technologies and projection, the ones that don't require a lamp and things like this. So projectors will remain, but it's going to be a small niche compared to what you and I started out with 30 years ago.
I agree with you on that. I think that it's going to take a little while to happen because it is too expensive right now for the 80, 90, 100-inch displays, and quite honestly, they're very noisy. They haven't solved all those problems with the inherent noise in the picture. I think that this 80-inch behind us from Sharp looks really good, but I think there's still some more that needs to be done before we get into 100-inch sizes. Don't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And one of the phrases that I kind of invented over a decade ago, when application, price, and technology converge, an opportunity exists. And I think you and I have seen it with the advent of, like the 80-inch Sharp is a great example. It's much less expensive than other 75 and 80-inch variants from other manufacturers. So they're kind of leading the way in this lower cost alternative. But if you've got a classroom, if I'm K through 12 and I've got a classroom and I need a 100-inch diagonal picture, I'm not going to consider an LCD at this point. I'm going to go for that projector that I can buy for what, $500 to $1,000, and you and I are looking at like 2,500 lumens of light output. So that's going to remain for and when we say a long period of time, to you and me, a long period of time is probably 4 or 5 years. That's still going to remain relevant. I don't think we're going to see 80-inch displays down in the $1,500 to $2,000 price point. The labor's just too much. But you and I are standing here today seeing this migration from everyday use of projection into flat panels, replacing that, but it's going to take a while.
Yeah, we're in the middle of an evolution, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for joining us today. Congratulations on everything you're doing, and we'll see you at InfoComm.
I appreciate it. We'll see you then.
Yeah, this is Gary Kayye. We're at the Alamo E4 show in San Francisco. Thanks for watching, and keep checking out all the videos we're doing here.